Okay. Okay, so let's start. Okay. We today want to look at the reproductive system. So when it comes to mammals, mammals are also like living organisms. It's a need to procreate, pass on their genes to the next, to their offspring, to the next generation. So they need to procreate, and this is the organ system that is meant for this particular function is the reproductive system. So we look at reproductive system in mammals, and we'll pay attention to the anatomy, the structures which are involved in reproduction. Then we also highlight on some functions. Okay, so we are hoping that at the end of the lecture, we should be able to mention the organs that constitute what we call the male and female reproductive system. We should be able to describe spermatogenesis and oogenesis, both of which are they have to do with the production of the sex gametes. So we look at the overview of reproduction, then we go to the components. Okay, so I've indicated that mammals, like other organisms, they will need to reproduce or they need to procreate, and the means of reproduction in mammals is what we term as sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction. There is another form of reproduction, which is the asexual reproduction. Now, in sexual reproduction, what happens is that the gametes will come from the male and female species of the mammal, and these gametes will fuse. And when they fuse, they become that we call that process fertilization. Okay, and that fertilization will produce what we call a zygote, and this zygote will later undergo various transformation to give rise to the full-fledged mammal. Now, also one thing about the mammals is that fertilization occurs in the females. Okay, it occurs within the female, and hence we use the term internal fertilization. The fusion of the male and female gamete is quite different from, for example, some amphibians, where the female will go and lay eggs in the external environment, and that amphibian, and in that same amphibian, the male will deposit sperm onto those gametes, female gametes. Okay, that is more of external fertilization. So the set of organs that will facilitate the procreation will constitute what we call the reproductive system. That one thing that in mammals, you notice that the female reproductive system, in a way, is a little bit complex. It's more complex than that of the male reproductive system. Now, if we take the male and female reproductive system, you realize that all of them, we all have organs for intercourse, reproduction, and also personal urination. But the female reproductive system has an additional function that has to do with pregnancy and also childbirth. So when it comes to pregnancy, that is where the uterus and the fallopian tube and the ovaries come into being, because these are not found in males. Okay, so and even with the childbirth, we have what you call the pelvic bone. The pelvic bone is also anatomically distinct in males and also in females. So the organs which are facilitating reproduction, procreation is what we call the reproductive system. And we can divide the organs in the reproductive system into two. We have what you call the primary sex organ, which is what we call the gonad. Then we have the secondary reproductive organs, or we sometimes use the word accessory reproductive structures. Now, the main function of the primary organ is to produce the sex cells or the gametes. Gametes is the same as sex cells. Then we have the accessory reproductive organs. They help in the growth of the gametes, the maturation of the gametes, and also the developing the offspring. Okay, so the key thing is that the primary sex organ is for what? Production of gametes, and that process is what we call gametogenesis. Then we have the accessory organs, which are for growth and maturation of the gametes, and also in females, especially in females, and it will also be involved in nurturing the offspring. So we take the male reproductive system, then we look at the female reproductive system. So in the male reproductive, this is on the slide we have a side view of the male reproductive system. And in the male reproductive system, the primary organ is the testis. The primary organ is the testis, and the testis is housed in the scrotum. The sac, there's a skin of sac, which hangs outside our body, in between our perineum, within our perineum, and that is the scrotum. So the testis is a primary organ. Then we have the accessory organs. Accessory organs can be divided into three categories. So we have what you call the external genitalia. We have external genitalia. Then we also have a system of ducts, various ducts which are present. Then we have glands. Those are producing secretions. So we will look at the testis, which is a primary sex organ. So we have two testicles, testes or testicles, and they lie outside the body in a scrotum. So this is a picture of a dog from the back side, the posterior view. And the two testicles, they lie outside the body within the scrotum, because usually the sperms will need cooler than body temperature, lower temperature, lesser than the body temperature for normal growth and development. In terms of functions, the testes will produce sperm. It produces sperm in a process called spermatogenesis. Then the testes also secretes some hormones. The hormones, the popular one is the testosterone. Testosterone is a hormone secreted by the testes. Also, we can also look at inhibin. Inhibin is also a hormone secreted by the testes. So I'll comment on this. Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please, I'm
we
listening.
all know that testes produce or give this hormone testosterone. You just mentioned another one, in human also. What is this function?
Anti-Mullerian hormone. Is it AMH?
No, you mentioned another hormone that beside the test, beside
Inhibin.
the
Inhibin.
inhibin. What is its function in their
Oh,
body?
okay. Okay. So usually it is a hormone that is it serves as a feedback. This hormone is secreted from the testes so that it can signal to the brain that the brain secretes FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, so that this follicle stimulating hormone would will induce the spermatogenesis, but the testis will secrete inhibin so that it can signal to the brain that, oh, it's okay, what we have is okay, so stop producing the FSH.
So
This is
what
what
will trigger that? What will trigger that inhuman hormone to
inhibin
be activated?
in
Inhibin.
inhibin
What will trigger it or what will activate it?
Oh, when you have enough spermatocytes, the purpose is to stop, um, uh, cause, stop the spermatogenesis, to control spermatogenesis. So spermatogenesis should be regulated. They can't keep on dividing. So there should be a signal that will come from the testes to tell the brain that, please hold on, with regarding you stimulating spermatogenesis. Is it a little clear?
Yes, yes. Thank you. Can we get the spelling of the hormone so that we can do further
I
studies on
will,
it?
I would, I think it's on the slide. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. So we look at the sperm production of sperm, which is the spermatogenesis, and within the testes, within the testes, the testis is made up of several tubules. Okay, it's made up of what like tubules, which we call the seminiferous tubules, and this is a tubule within which spermatogenesis is occurring. So in humans, sperm is produced in adults. Okay, around at least it should start within the ages of 13 to 16. Sperm production should start. Okay, and about 4 to 5 billion sperms are produced each month. So we look at the steps. So this is when we
Hello,
do
sir.
we make a cut. Yes,
Sir, with this topic
everyone.
there, you should be ready for a parade of questions.
I hope so.
Yes.
I hope
Yes.
not.
I know Frank will come along with his own questions, but I want to find out. And we've all been made aware that 4 to 5 billion sperm cells are produced each month. Now,
Yeah.
so if these sperms are produced and then you don't make good use of it, and they are stay within the body for a month, 2 or 3 or 4, you've not had any sexual intercourse. What happens to these sperm cells that have been produced within that month?
Okay. The body resolves them.
Reabsorbs them.
Yeah, resolves them. They can be broken down. They are made up of proteins. So the body breaks them down so that they can use the energy derived from that will also be used for other purposes.
So, so it means, so, Frank, wait. So it means that men provide protein for females. Is that what it means? Because you just told us that it contains protein, amino acids. So indirectly, men are also producers of protein for females.
That protein, one benefit.
Bad boy. My question, bad boy.
One
So
benefit. How will it benefit the female?
then I want to find out then what does it benefit for reabsorption in the body if it has
You
no
you
benefit?
no your body use the energy, the nutrients that it has acquired to synthesize to produce these sperms to provided energy in order for this process to come on to happen. Now, if they are kept, they are there. It's wise that the body will have to break them down, obtain the energy, and produce a new set. Is it not? It looks like you're not okay with it.
Oh, sure. I'm laughing because the way you laugh, that is why I'm also laughing. So let's go on.
So they
Okay,
are okay. They are okay with it. Please carry on.
Well, we are
Ima,
okay,
okay.
Ima, stop it.
okay. So we'll look at the steps in spermatogenesis. Okay, so within the I said that seminiferous tubules are present. There are several seminiferous tubules within the testes. So within the seminiferous tubules, we'll have one group of cells called spermatogonia. So we have spermatogonia. Okay. Now spermatogonia would undergo mitosis, and usually they will divide into two. The one will become a residual stem cell that can also undergo division in the near future. Then the other cell would continue with the cell division towards being a sperm. So the spermatogonia, divides into two, so that you have one being another spermatogonium, but another one will continue with the spermatogenesis. Now the the spermatogonia then undergoes meiosis one to produce what we call primary spermatocytes. We know that meiosis usually will end up with halving the diploid, so the genetic constituent. So if the parent cell is 2n, usually first meiosis 1 is the same as mitosis. So you have the same genetic uh, 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 constituent, which is a diploid. But then the primary spermatocytes will undergo the second meiotic division, so that they become what we call the secondary spermatocytes. Now, these secondary spermatocytes are now haploid. They are haploid. Then the secondary spermatocytes would mature to form some cells called the spermatids. Spermatids. Even the spermatids are not so close to the structure of the sperm. Then we have spermatogenesis will produce spermatids, but beyond spermatogenesis is a process called spermiogenesis. So spermiogenesis is where the spermatids differentiate so that they become what we call the spermatozoa, that become the sperm cells. And that is what we call the spermiogenesis. Now, in the seminiferous tubules, there are supporting cells. We call them the Sertoli cells or sustentacular cells. So these Sertoli cells, they support the development of the sperm cells. So the sperm cells, whilst they are within the undergoing that, the Sertoli cells will nurse them. It will support them, provide nourishment, ensure that they are well kept until they are fully matured. So these are the Sertoli cells. Now, when it comes to the sperm has a head. It has a head. Then at the tip of its head, in the head is a nucleus. And at the tip of the head is a component called the acrosome. This acrosome contains digestive enzymes. And these digestive enzymes usually dissolve the egg membrane during fertilization. So before the nucleus of the sperm can fuse with the nucleus of the egg, the egg membrane should be digested. The egg the egg membrane should be digested so that the nucleus can fuse. Please, just a minute. Okay, so the sperm has a head. It has a middle piece, and it has a tail. Okay, so the head has a nucleus. Then we have the tip, the tip of the head. It contains what you call acrosomes. That's the acrosome. The tip of the head is the acrosome, and this contains some digesting enzymes that can break through the wall of the egg during fertilization. Then we have the middle piece. The middle piece is made up of mitochondria. We know that mitochondria will help to generate energy. It generates energy so that this energy will be used by the sperm cells to swim. Then we have the tail. The tail, and the tail is actually made up of centrols. It's made up of centrols so that it can help the centrols to be able to. They'll use the centrols in order to bring about movement. Okay, we know that centrols contains microtubules, and microtubules are very important when it comes to movement of cells. Then I'll comment on the secretion of hormones. So we have two main cells in the testis that secrete a hormone. Yes.
Before you go on, please, the semen and then the sperm, is there a difference between them?
Yes.
Okay. Ajima, you can comment.
Oh, okay. So the semen is the fluid thing that comes out of it, but within the semen, that is where the sperm swim. So it's a medium through which the sperm swim, and that is what I read from a certain book.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. So the semen is sperm plus other secretions. I think in that case it becomes a little bit more clear. So sperm.
So when it comes out, is it appropriate to say sperm or semen?
It's semen. When the fluid comes out, ejaculate comes out, it's semen. It's sperm. We only see it under the microscope. So sometimes when they are communicating and they start using sperm.
So the cream-like thing that when you ejaculate, it comes out. That whole bulky thing is what we call the semen. But within
Exactly.
which there we can find the sperms under the microscope.
We find the sperms, yeah. The sperms are there, but it can only be seen in under the microscope.
Okay. And we produce 4 to 5 million every month.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ajima,
What are you concerned about
do
that?
you want to see this the sperm of rats?
I would love to see it and know the differences.
No, Ajima,
Mhm.
Sam, the sperm from man so that we can observe.
Okay.
I'm a Roman
So
father, so I don't have sperms.
okay. So let's look at the secretion of hormones. So let's look at the component that has to do with the secretion of hormones. So we have two main cells which produce the hormones. So we have what you call the Leydig cells or interstitial cells. Then we also have the Sertoli cells. The Sertoli cells are within the seminiferous tubule. The Sertoli cells are in the seminiferous tubule, and they occur with the spermatogonia cells, which are going to develop into sperms. The Sertoli cells secrete the hormone inhibin, and this will stop the secretion of another hormone from the brain, a hormone from the brain. We call it the follicle stimulating hormone. Follicle stimulating hormone is secreted by your pituitary gland, adrenal pituitary gland, so that the FSH will stimulate, will act on the testis and stimulate the spermatogonia. It will induce the spermatogonia to undergo division to produce sperms. Okay. Then we have out in between the seminiferous tubules, you see that this is one seminiferous tubule. This is also another seminiferous tubule. It's an interstitium. It's an interstitium within which occurs another cell called the Leydig cells. Leydig cells. The Leydig cells are stimulated by luteinizing hormone, which is from the pituitary gland of the brain. So they are stimulated by the luteinizing hormone to secrete testosterone. Testosterone. And we know that testosterone is very good for masculinization. So this is a cartoon to illustrate what I just said. So from the brain, you have the anterior pituitary, and this is the posterior pituitary. So from the anterior pituitary comes out two sets of hormones, FSH and LH. But FSH will act on the Sertoli cells so that they would undergo the division and produce a sperm. Then the LH will act on the interstitial cells or the Leydig cells so that they will produce testosterone. Then you see the Sertoli cells, from the Sertoli cells exits another hormone called the inhibin. Inhibin goes to the pituitary gland and stop the secretion of these two hormones, FSH and LH. So, so in terms of controlling of spermatogenesis, we have FSH, the stimulates spermatogonia to undergo spermatogenesis. Then inhibin or executed by the Sertoli cells to stop the secretion of FSH. Let's look at the accessory organs. So with the accessory organs, we have the external genitalia, the ducts, and also the glands. So we look at the components of the external genitalia, the ducts, and the glands. So we have with the external genitalia, we have the penis, then we have the scrotum. So the penis and the scrotum are the external genitalia. Then we have what the other structures which are considered as ducts. Ducts. So we have, for example, right from the testis. So the testis has the epididymis. So we have, let me mention them. Then we have the ducts. So we have the vas difference or the ductus difference. This is a duct that is continuous. After the testis, we have continuous to the testis is the epididymis. Usually, yeah. So we have this as the vas difference. So this is a duct that drains the epididymis. Okay. Then we have the ejaculatory duct. Ejaculatory duct is a small gland, a small duct, which is situated below the urinary bladder. Then we also have the urethra. Urethra is a duct that will pass through the penis. So that is these are the three main ducts that I'll mention. Then we have glands. Glands produce secretions. And in terms of the secretions, we have, for example, we have
Hello, sir.
this gland, the prostate gland.
Hello, sir.
Then we have this gland, which is the Purpose gland, or the bulbourethral glands. Then you also have the seminal vesicle. So we have the seminal vesicle. Here's the seminal vesicle. Yeah.
Please carry on.
Am I offline?
Please, let's continue.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Okay. So we have the okay. Okay.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
okay.
Yes. Okay. So we'll look at it. So we have the seminal vesicle. This is the seminal vesicle, which is very close to the prostate gland. Then this is the prostate gland. Okay. Then we have another gland which we call the carpus gland or the bulbourethral gland. Okay, so we look at let's look at the epididymis. So epididymis is a structure, it's a mass, it's a mass that lies on the posterior or the back and upper part of the testis. So this is the epididymis. And this is where sperms are stored. So what is the within the seminiferous tubules, when the sperms are produced, they have to be stored. Okay, and this is the where they store them. Okay, so sperm are stored there for as long as about 6 weeks while they ripen to maturity. Then we have the vas difference. So vas difference is a tubular structure that transports sperms from the epididymis all the way to the ejaculatory duct. So we have the ejaculatory duct is within this region. So you have the vas difference transporting the sperms all the way to the ejaculatory duct. We have to bear in mind that there is both left and right. So the testes, there is also two testes, so left and right testes. The vas difference is also the same as the ductus difference. So maybe I'll have to add it. Or the ductus difference would transport the sperm from the from the epididymis all the way to the ejaculatory duct. Purpose tube. So one is it allows semen and also urine to pass through in order to leave the body. One thing is that urine and semen don't mix. They never mix. They don't usually mix. Maybe you only find if, for example, after semen has passed through the urethra, and maybe the person wants to be, then if you collect that urine, perhaps you see traces of sperm. But when under normal circumstance, when the semen is being released, okay, the urine is not released. Now the urethra has special muscles and the sphincter that surround them. So one of the sphincters is it happens during urination. So we have what you call the internal urethral sphincter. And this is a sphincter during urination. One sphincter will relax so that the pressure from when the urinary bladder opens, it will push urine. It pushes urine from the bladder through the urethra out of the body. Then we also have another, during ejaculation, also we have another sphincter relaxing so that semen will be able to mention that. Did you indicate? Okay, let me give the exact. So we have a sphincter around the base of the neck, around the neck of the urinary bladder, We call it the internal urethral sphincter. Internal urethral sphincter. So this is a sphincter that would, whenever it is closed, it will not allow urine to flow through the urethra. Then we have the external urethral sphincter. External urethral sphincter is within this region, the region of the perineum. So when the external urethral sphincter is open, it can allow and if it is open and we have the internal urethral sphincter closed, then a semen will be able to pass through the urethra all the way to the external environment. Yes.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Okay.
Hello,
So
sir.
now I'll comment on the glands. So we have
Please.
Yes.
Okay, I want to ask a question. We have right and left testes, and we've seen that
Yes.
the semen is stored in the epididymis. I want to know, before
Yes.
the vas deferens will transport it to the ejaculatory ducts, I want to know whether the two testes, they release the semen at the same time, or they have, each one does it separately in the course of sexual intercourse.
Okay. I will not say that, but I'm expecting them to release it at the same time. But it is something that is a question, something that I have overlooked for some time. It's assumed that they all release it. They all release it. But I'll have to confirm. But they all release it at the same time. They all release it at the same time.
Dog, a follow-up question.
Okay.
What might be the cause of early release or delay release of the semen?
Early release or delayed release of the semen. Well, the thing is, this has to do with it's more like a nervous stimulation. Okay, a nervous stimulation, and all these things can be it can be learned. Usually, the tip of the penis is sensitive when it's able to stimulate when it is caressed. Definitely, like it is very, very sensitive. So when it's able to stimulate the nervous system, then that will cause the release. Sometimes for some individuals, it's more like a control. It's more like a control mechanism. The thing is, it is the desire, the sensitization is building up. It builds up until it gets to the climax. And when it goes to the climax, that is where we will have ejaculation setting in. So for some individuals, they have not mastered the process. So even when they are is being sensitized, it's being the system is well, there is stimulation. For some individuals, when they realize that it's getting to the peak, they will stop whatever trusting that they are doing, so that the stimulation, it will not get to the peak. It will dwindle. Okay, then in that case, there will not be ejaculation. Okay, now apart from the process of mastering, yes.
Okay. So
Apart
you
from the
finish
process of
with that one, and I'll add my follow-up question.
yeah, apart from the process of mastering, sometimes others it can also be like anxiety, being anxious. So when they are anxious, then that can also cause an early stimulation, early release. Okay, what's the follow-up question?
Okay, so I want to find out because we've been made aware or we've learned that the penis is a spongy tissue organ.
Mhm,
Okay, so when it's being stimulated, the gland of the penis when it's being stimulated, and there's this kind of erection, and
mhm.
there's it need yes. I want to find out when you delay your ejaculation, is will they have any effects on the veins that you are stretching too much, or it is just normal thing to, I mean, delay your ejaculation? Because I know that because the spongy tissues, when blood pumps into it, that is when the veins becomes erect and then you have that erection,
Mhm.
and then after the
Yeah.
stimulation, they need to release. Now, so if you decide to hold it on for a very long time, are you not weakening the veins in the penis, or it is there normal thing to hold your ejaculation for long period?
And it doesn't have effect on the veins. Yeah, it's a normal thing. It will not have effect on the veins. You are only allowing the it's a process. So the blood will fill the erectile tissue. So what happens is that the blood will persist there for some longer, relatively longer time, but it doesn't affect the veins. Okay. What others? So sometimes people are motivated to be taking aphrodisiac, but so it's some if we have some individuals who learn the whole process, they master it, and when they realize that okay, it has to get to the climax, let me tone down so that the system will dwindle, their penis will still be hard, then they can continue, they can have longer sex time. Okay, Sajiman, can I finish let me finish the male reproductive system, then we can bring up our questions.
Look, you forget to.
So I'm not
Uh,
the one. I'm not the only one asking questions. I mean, even the
No,
ladies
no,
are
no,
asking
no.
questions.
No, no, I want us to finish. I will finish the male reproductive system, then we ask questions, then I'll go to the female reproductive system.
Frank, please
Okay,
no,
write
so
your question down.
the last
Write the
So
one, the
write our
last
question.
one.
questions down. No, no, write your questions down so that we
Yes,
can. Okay. So
yes.
we
you
look at
know,
the glands which are also present. So we have what you call the carpus gland or the bulbourethral gland. And these glands are very, very small, but and they are located below the prostate gland. This is a prostate gland. Okay, there are two of them, left and right, and they are connected by their duct to the penis. The the part of the urethra that runs through the penis. Okay. Now, this is the fluid. This gland secretes a clear, sticky fluid that will help to neutralize the acidity of the urethra. So, usually during sexual arousal, males will notice that there is a clear fluid and sticky which is coming out. The purpose of it is to clear the acidity with any acidity within the urethra. Okay, to clear any acidity within the urethra, and that is the bulbourethral gland or the carpus gland. Then we have the seminal vesicles. So seminal vesicles, they are also relatively, they are larger than the bulbourethral gland. They are relatively larger. And they also secrete a fluid that will nourish and enable the sperm to move. Okay. And they contribute to the large volume of they make a largest contribution to the volume of the semen. Okay, so the secretion constitutes a large proportion of the semen. What they do is that they open into the ejaculatory duct. The seminal vesicle opens into the ejaculatory duct. We also have the left and right. Then the last accessory gland is the prostate gland. So the prostate gland is a gland. It surrounds the urethra. This is a gland that surrounds the urethra, and it is located beneath the bladder. So you see that this is the urethra, and it passes through. Usually, the urethra has three portions. So the first part passes through in males. It passes through the prostate gland. Then this yellow region, we call it the um, urogenital diaphragm. We have it's a diaphragm, and the urethra passes through that diaphragm before it enters the penis. This is the part that runs through the penis is the longest side. Okay, so the prostate gland surrounds the urethra. Okay, and this gland will secrete an alkaline fluid that also neutralizes the acid found in the male and female reproductive tracts. And without the prostate gland, the secretion of the prostate gland, many would be almost like impossible. Then I'll talk about the external genitalia. So the scrotum is a sac-like pouch located behind the penis, and it contains each testis, and it helps regulate the temperature for sperm production. So you know that during when you have a hot when your body temperature is very hot, what happens is that the scrotum would relax. The muscle, the scrotum contains some muscles called the dartos muscle. It contains a dartos muscle. Let me and add it. So so the wall contains the dartos muscle, and whenever the temperature becomes the body temperature becomes very warm, this muscle will have to relax so that the muscle will relax so that the wall of the scrotum would actually lengthen. Then the testis will also drop. Okay. So then we have the penis. So the penis is a male organ for sexual intercourse, for reproduction, and also urination. And the purpose of the penis is to deposit semen in the vagina during sexual intercourse. The penis is having a head. The head of the penis is what you call the glans, and it contains many nerve endings. Okay, many endings which are stimulated during sexual arousal, and this helps to bring about ejaculation, or that is which is at the point of orgasm. Okay, now at birth, the glans penis is covered by a skin, which we call the foreskin, and when it is removed, that is what brings about the process of circumcision. So many of us, I think in Ghana, many of the penises are more like the foreskin, which is the yellow in this color. They have been taken off. So ours, but in other countries, they still maintain the foreskin. So the penises will be a little bit different. Now, when the penis is erect, it is about 5 to 7 inches long, averagely, and an erection will occur. Erection usually occurs. The penis has some erector tissue. It has erector tissue. So when they fill blood, then it will bring about the penis being erected or being hard. Then I'll comment slightly on the concept of semen. So semen is made up of is a composition of sperms and fluid that are produced by the seminal vesicle, prostate gland, and the Carpus gland or the bulbourethral gland. Now, this fluid, which it's because it contains nutrients, which will be beneficial to the sperm. So it nourishes and helps the sperm move through the it nourishes the sperm, and it also helps the sperm to move through the urethra. Now we have another term called ejaculation. So when we say ejaculation, ejaculation has to do with the passage of sperm in a form of semen through the penis as a result of a series of muscular contractions. So there are muscles in the walls of the vas deferens. It will be contracting and it will be moving sperms towards the ejaculatory duct. Then also the seminal vesicle will also release a secretion. The prostate gland will release a secretion. Bulbourethral gland will release a secretion, so that they will mix within the ejaculatory, they will mix within the urethra, and it will come out as semen. Okay, so yeah, you were asking questions, and you can bring out the question.
Doc, I wanted to ask the effect of those drugs in the name of delay. It was just to support the question.
Aphrodisiac.
Yeah.
Aphrodisiacs, yeah.
And then another thing, that what is the effect of sexual intercourse on the prostate gland? Too
Mm.
much or low? Does it have any effect on the prostate gland?
Well, okay. So when it comes to the aphrodisiac, the aphrodisiacs in the body, the smooth muscle relaxant is dependent on nitric oxide. Nitric oxide. So a number of the aphrodisiacs, they try to delay the degradation of the nitric oxide. Okay, we have an enzyme called the nitric oxide synthase. So that will synthesize nitric oxide, but the aphrodisiac will only delay the breakdown of the nitric oxide, so that they will persist and they would continuously relax the smooth muscles, so that the blood will flow through the spongy tissue. Well, excess use of aphrodisiac it has its own side effects, because whilst it is in the blood, it is not the only smooth muscle in the body. A typical example is within the eye. There are smooth muscles within the eye, and therefore it is not exclusive to only the smooth muscles of the penis. It can also affect the smooth muscles of the eye, and that can, with long-term use, can also bring problems. Now, as to the insect sex, many sex, does it produce a prostate, or does it cause the prostate to be hampered? I always compare the human body as a machine. If you're having a machine, when you start using it, if it is not used, it is still new. When you start using it, definitely there will be wear and tear. So even though in literature and in the media, they will tell you that, okay, more frequent sex protects the prostate gland. I think that if you are doing it continuous, there should be some spacing, at least a day or two, some days, hours, several hours, so that when the prostate gland releases its secretion, at least it will get time to be able to replenish. It's a gland, so it will produce a secretion. If we look at it from the point that when it empties, all the secretions are emptied, and during a sexual intercourse, it is forced to be able to still release secretions, then that gland will be a little bit inflamed. And when inflammation can be a little bit of it's a problem. Inflammation is problematic. So frequent sex, how frequent is it? What is very important is that if there can be some spacing, it is very, very helpful, so that at least the gland, from the point of a machine, that machine can at least rest and recuperate, and you use it again, so that it can be able to produce more secretions. That is what I would say regarding that. I don't know whether my explanation is a little clear or it has
Yes,
some.
sir.
Oh,
Sir,
it's
it's clear, but there is this school of thoughts where um let me say counselors or sex therapists will come on the airwaves and then be churning out this information that at least at least in a month you are supposed to have 21 times sex 21 times, and you find out how do they do their calculations. You get it. And then
Hmm.
again they also say that, I mean, when you have one round of ejaculation, it is not enough. So for a day, you need to a whole lot of information. So how can we balance between the two, using the machine as an example, which we all know that frequent use of something will deteriorate it faster. And then they are
Okay.
giving you this mathematical thing that in the mind, you're supposed to have sex 21 times. So if you're a guy or if you're not married and for a whole 2, 3, 4 months, you've not even had sex, you ask yourself, how am I going to defray all these debts and then move forward?
It doesn't affect me. I don't see how it affects them. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't affect them. And another thing that I even want to comment is that you see, these secretions are produced from. It depends on one, how hydrated the individual is. How high are you hydrated enough? Because many of these secretions are produced
As
from the
a form of
plasma.
food.
Yeah, are produced from the plasma. Okay, so if the person is not hydrated enough, and it's like the person is forced to be releasing, where should it be? Where would the gland be producing? It is forced. There will be that there should be a balance in the system, hydration, and also you have to also nourish yourself because the system will also involve will require nutrients. Okay, so when all these things are satisfied, when we bring them into the picture, then we can say that okay, you can keep on having frequent sex, yeah, but there should be some interval, a spacing, so that at least the system can rest and will be able to produce. Okay, so with a balance, as to how you
So
balance it,
let's
give
move on.
you give yourself some rest. Yeah, you give yourself
So you
some
let's
rest.
move on. The questions are many. Let's go to the female one. The questions are many. So you let's move on.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Please, I have a question.
Yes.
Please, since we are talking about the male reproductive organ or the system, I want to know what causes male sexual disorder or erectile dysfunction or impotence. So, what causes that?
Okay, so when we say impotence, impotence has to do with the fact that the penis cannot erect. It has not, or it cannot sustain erection. It cannot be hard for a long time, or it doesn't stand at all. It has nothing to do with fertility. Fertility has to do with the amount of the sperm. If the person does not produce sperm, a person can be impotent but can be fertile. Okay. Now, what will cause the penis to harden is dependent on the nitric oxide. Okay, it's a neurotransmitter. This nitric oxide would, when it acts on smooth muscles, it relaxes the smooth muscles, and the penis is made up of a spongy tissue which is full of smooth muscles. So when the nitric oxide relaxes these muscles, they to cause the spaces within the tissue to open up so that it can be filled with blood. Okay, so a situation where individuals will have issues with erectile dysfunction has to do with, for example, the nitric oxide production. Okay, how much nitric oxide is being produced? And the nitric oxide, the body tries to clear them after some specific period of time. So is does the individual in that individual, is it cleared faster than expected? Okay. Or sometimes is it not produced at all? So these factors can affect, influence erectile, this that can bring about erectile dysfunction. I think another male anomaly that I didn't mention is BPH. When the prostate gland becomes very, very like enlarged. When it is enlarged, because the urethra passes through the prostate gland, it constricts it. So this the prostate gland, the urethra passes through it. It can constrict it so that the urine will not be able to flow easily through the urethra. I just felt that let me add the BPH to it since we are talking about erectile dysfunction. But please, erectile dysfunction or impotence. Please, I hope the explanation is a little clear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I understand it now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sir,
The
so
Mama,
hello, sir.
Hello, Doc. Doc,
Before you go on,
Ajungo, let me ask my question before you come in.
ah, Ejakun. Okay,
Ajungo, let
carry
me,
on.
Ajungo, let me ask. Oh, yeah, okay. So please, sir, I would like to ask: is it natural for a male to ejaculate a very short time, or
yeah, it can. You can. That's what I'm saying. That anxiety, and also if it's a first time, is a first time. But other than that, it is advisable that during sexual intercourse, the male should be able to steady himself. So whilst you are being aroused, you yourself, you know that at this particular point in time, if I cross, if I continue with the stimulation, definitely you are going to release. So what the person has to do is that when you realize that you are almost climaxing, you are supposed to tone down. When you tone down, the system will calm down,
That
and
point you can't
you
go down.
they can they they can tone down.
So, they said that time they can't come, they can't turn down. Oh.
They can tone down they themselves. Or if I'm not saying the right words, they would have interjected. They know that they can tone down.
No, so and that is where they are saying that at that time the ladies too will be spanking your back that hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Because at that time they've also reached that stage. So if you turn down, you are affected, it will worry them.
Don't tell them that you are toning down, please. You can bring in some flimsy excuse, but you yourself you know what you are doing. If you want to discuss this thing, they
Oh
will not
dear,
have like
Mama Sumo.
let's continue.
Say,
Okay.
say with the
Yeah.
nitric oxide production, um,
Yes.
um, this is my first time having a fair idea about it. What I want to
Mhm.
be sure which organ is responsible for the nitric oxide production in the body, and then
Oh, okay.
at one ejaculation, what is the volume of semen release? Can it be quantified or it varies?
Oh, okay. Okay. The usually the first ejaculate is more, about 5 mil. You should get about almost close to 5 mil.
5.
Yeah, but subsequent ejaculation will be smaller. Will be smaller. That's what I'm saying. That sometimes this it's you look at how the hydration the hydration state of the person. How long is the person the space interval? Will you allow the gland to be able to rest small so that it can produce enough? Okay, it will be able to produce enough. But if the person is always on it and it is giving it's like it's continuous sexual bouts, you notice that such people they will be dehydrated. They'll feel dehydrated, and they'll feel they want to they'll be thirsty. Okay.
Okay.
So these are some of the things that we should factor them in. so that when they are in the media and they are those some people say that they are specialists, but the way they will communicate is very very frightening. Okay, as to the nitric oxide production in the it's I know nitric oxide is a neurotransmitter. Okay, so it's produced by the nerve endings. So the nerves would um the nerves will release the nitric oxide because it's a neurotransmitter. So when the nerves are stimulated, they will release the nitric oxide. Other things, and also apart from the nerves, the endothelial cells. You know that it's a blood vessels are present, and the simple squamous cells, the endothelial cells, also produce the nitric oxide. So I've mentioned two sources: the nerve endings, the nerves will really release nitric oxide, and also endothelial cells also release nitric oxide. Please, I hope it's a little clear. Okay, so
Hello, sir. I want to question.
yes, please.
And sometimes, as women, when you give birth to a male child,
Mm,
these old women will and then will be testing the scrotum to see whether there is the testis is inside.
mm.
And I want to know that is it true that there will be children who do not have testis in their scrotum? And if it is yes, then what causes that?
Okay, that's an interesting question. What happens is that the testes actually when they are formed in the abdomen. Your testes are formed in the abdomen, and as the child is maturing in the womb, what happens is that the skin, a part of the your abdominal, the skin of the abdominal wall begins to pull away from the rest. So that the one that is pulling away, that becomes the scrotum. Okay. Now it is said that during the pulling away of that skin that will
Podcast.
become the
That's
scrotum, is supposed to pull
Hello,
the
sir.
yes.
Please, Joseph, Ejekun, please, your mic is on. It's giving us feedback. If you can mute it, so we can listen well. Thank you.
It is it is it is supposed to pull the testis out from the abdomen, then it passes through your inguinal region so that the testis will end up in the scrotum. Now, the old women do that, or the nurses do that, because if there are no testes in the scrotum, what it would have likely happened is that the testes may be within the inguinal region, the groin, the region of the groin, or it can even be in the abdomen. If it is if it is not freed and brought into the scrotum, the cells, the temperature within these regions will not be favorable for the sperm cells, and it can bring about the death of the sperms. So such babies, if they are not salvaged quickly, they will rather be they will be born with testes which are not functioning. Okay, and like they will be releasing semen, but there will not be sperms. That is what we call the azoospermia. So when they are checking, they check the scrotum to see that actually the testes have been, they are present there. Then they know that it is okay. If it is not there, it's better to work on that baby as soon as possible and bring the testes out. Please, I hope the explanation is clear.
Yes, please. Thank you, sir.
Okay. We look at the
Hello,
female
Doc.
reproductive. Yes.
Please, what is the importance of prostate massage?
Prostate massage.
Yes, please.
I will not be able to give a clear message. But I mean, why would they want to massage? So that I don't know why. Uh, this one I don't have a clear. This is the first time of hearing that. Okay, let's finish the reproductive system, and I'm sure there will be time for us to ask more questions. So the female reproductive system is also made up of the primary sex organ and some ones mic is
I don't think
It
he's
is Joseph
aware.
Ejekum's mind.
I don't think he's
okay.
Now
aware.
I'm calling him.
Okay,
I'm
so
calling him.
the
But he's not here.
female reproductive system, like the male, is also made up of it has a primary sex organ, and which is the ovary. So it has the ovary. Then we have the so comment and the accessory organs. Oh, okay, I think he has muted it. Okay, so the female reproductive system is made up of a primary organ, which is the ovary. Then it also has accessory organs where we have the external genitalia, the ducts, and also the gland. So we will look at them. So we have the ovary. The ovaries they are egg-shaped structures. The ovaries are egg-shaped structures, and the ovaries are attached to the uterus by some ligaments. So we have a ligament which is more like a cord-like structure that attaches the ovary to the uterus. The ovaries are the homologs of the male testicles. So, and we know that I mentioned that the testes or the testicles produce sperms. The ovaries now also produce the eggs. Okay. Now the ovaries have two main functions, just like the testes. So production of the female sex cell in a process called oogenesis. Then the second part has to do with the secretion of hormones. So we look at the process of um, oogenesis. So just like we have spermatogonium in the testes, the females also have what you call oogonium. So oogonium is a parent cell out of which that will divide and give rise to the ovum or the egg cell. So the oogonium, which is diploid, it has the genetic constituent of 2N. It undergoes mitosis. But before I continue, unlike males where spermatogenesis will start puberty within 13 years or 14 years after that's when they are old. In females, the oogenesis starts when they are within the womb, when they are conceived. So oogenesis starts in utero. It starts in utero and gets arrested at birth. It gets arrested at birth. So, and the female body is born with all the eggs she will ever have. So release the eggs in alternate in succession. So this month, this one release, the following month, another will release, except in few situations where both may release at the same time. Okay, so we'll look at how I'll give the details. Then at puberty, the eggs are contained in what you call follicles. They resume development so that they will mature to give the female sex gametes. Okay. And usually the release of the mature ovum from the ovary is what we call ovulation. So we'll go through the process. So we have the oogonium. This is in utero. So we have in utero, the oogonium will undergo the division. One would remain as a residual cell so that in future it can also as a residual cell for future development. But the other one would undergo growth and will differentiate. So when it differentiates, it will produce what we call the primary spermatocytes. Primary spermatocytes. So that is all these before birth. So before birth, this process will continue so that the ovary will be made up of primary primary oocytes. Primary oocytes. Okay. Now, what happens is that the primary oocytes after birth, that is when at puberty, the primary oocyte would continue with the development. It will undergo meiosis one. The first meiosis, it will undergo meiosis one, so that it can produce two cells. Okay, it will complete meiosis one. Okay, and we'll have a secondary oocyte and a residual body called the first polar body. Okay. Then the secondary oocyte would undergo meiosis 2. When it undergoes meiosis 2, it doesn't complete. It only completes meiosis 2 when fertilization happens. So whenever there is fertilization, that's when it immediately completes the second meiotic division, and it will produce what we call ovum. So let me take it again. So in the womb, the oogonium will divide into two. So one will be the residual cell, the other will be channeled into the process of oogenesis. So that is the oogonia. Then the oogonia will still undergo the first division to become the primary oocyte. Primary oocyte. Now, so before when the baby is born, we have primary oocyte. Now, at puberty, the primary oocyte will continue with division to form what you call the secondary oocyte. Okay, and that is more like meiosis 2, the second meiotic division, but it does not complete the meiosis 2. It only completes it immediately after fertilization. So when the sperm cell makes contact with the ovum, then with the egg, then immediately the primary oocyte will divide into the secondary oocyte. Will complete the the secondary oocyte will develop into the ovum so that it can fuse with the sperm cell. Okay. Another thing is that so I'll repeat it. So before birth, we have the oogonium, and the oogonium will divide severally by mitosis. Okay, so it will replenish the stock, and the oogonium will also differentiate to give you the primary oocyte. So the primary oocyte, there will be it will hot. Okay, so but at puberty, then the primary oocyte will undergo meiosis 1 to produce a first secondary oocyte and a residual body called the first polar body. Then secondary oocytes will undergo meiosis 2 to produce the ovum and the second polar body. But as I keep on saying, the process only completes upon what? Fertilization. Now, whilst the egg cells are developing, there are supporting cells which grow alongside. They grow alongside the oocytes. Okay. Please, a moment. Oh, please, sorry. So, when the oocytes are developing, there are just like in the males, I mentioned Sertoli cells and the Leydig cells. There are also some cells which also support the oocytes, and we call them follicular cells. Follicular cells. So what happens is that as the oogonium is dividing, it's undergoing those division, there is a parallel growth of the follicular cells. And so the follicle cells together with the oocyte, they will form what you call follicles. Okay, so as the oocyte is developing, the follicles will also be developing, and that they will bring about changes in the different types of follicles which are present in the ovary. So we have different types of follicles. We have, for example, primordial follicle, which by the time the baby is born, if a baby girl is born, the ovary will be made up of primordial follicles. So primordial follicles, well, at that stage, we have the primary oocyte, but we have the follicle cells, which is occurring alongside it with it. When we look under the microscope, then those cells have a different appearance. They have a different shape. Then, as immediately they get to the puberty, during childhood, there is no activity, but when puberty arises, reaches, the primordial follicles will uh, transform into what we call the primary follicle. Primary follicle. During the primary follicle, we still have the primary oocyte. Okay, we have the primary oocyte. Then we have the follicles will grow and become what you call even secondary follicle. Secondary follicle. Then we get to a point where we have what you call a tertiary follicle or the Graafian follicle. The Graafian follicle is that particular stage where that particular follicle is almost, the oocyte is ready for release. So after the Graafian follicle, the follicle breaks so that secondary oocyte is released, and that is what we call ovulation. Ovulation. But just as I keep on saying that the secondary oocyte would would become the ovum. Okay, immediately the sperm makes contact with the follicle cells. So when the sperm cell makes contact with the follicle cells, then it hurriedly completes the second meiotic division. Okay, so that it now becomes the ovum and it will fuse with the nucleus of the sperm cell. So I've added a number of photos for us so that it can help us to understand. Okay, then we look at the concept of hormone production. So before ovulation, the follicular cells, those are the cells, the follicle cells, the supporting cells, they will secrete hormones. And there are two types of follicle cells. We have one which we call the granulosa cells. The granulosa cells, they surround the oocyte, immediately surround the oocyte, and it is just like the Sertoli cells in the testis. Then we also have those which are surrounding the granulosa cells. We call them the thecal cells. Okay, so the thecal cells are stimulated by the luteinizing hormone to secrete androgens like testosterone. Okay, so this thecal cell behaves like the Leydig cells in males. Okay, so they are stimulated by luteinizing hormone to secrete androgens like testosterone and androstenedione. Then we have granulosa cells. They convert the androgens to estrogen. So the granulosa cells convert the androgens to estrogen. That is before ovulation. Okay. Then after ovulation, I mentioned that the oocyte is released from the tertiary follicle or the Graafian follicle. But then after ovulation, the remnant of the Graafian follicle will develop into will become develop into what a structure called the corpus luteum. Corpus luteum. This
Dog,
corpus
are you
luteum
talking
will
about
secrete several hormones like inhibin, estrogen. Hello.
Dog, you mentioned testosterone, so it's kind of I'm confused. Is it also secreted in females?
Yes.
Hey.
Yes.
Okay. My first time of hearing that. I thought
Yeah. So
progesterone.
yeah. Yeah, so estrogen and progesterone are synthesized. Estrogen, in particular, is synthesized from testosterone.
Okay, Doc. Thank you.
Okay, so we have the granulosa cells, those which are immediately surrounding the oocyte. They will convert the androgens from the thicker cells to estrogen. Okay, and after ovulation, with ovulation, we have also the Graafian follicle metamorphosing. It metamorphoses to what you call the corpus luteum. And this corpus luteum will also produce several hormones, including estrogen, progesterone, and inhibin. So this corpus luteum, if there is pregnancy, it is the hormones from the corpus luteum which is going to stabilize the uterus, the uterine membrane, okay, so that it will be able to support the zygote. It will be the uterus will be well prepared to receive the fertilized egg. But we will look at it. Okay, so I want us to look at the accessory organs. So we look at the external genitalia. So the ducts, and we have the glands. So we have the external genitalia, we have the vulva, we have the ducts to be the fallopian tube, we have the uterus, we have the vagina, we have the cervix, and we have the vagina. Then we have the glands. Glands, we can talk about the Bartholin glands. I will mention them. So let's look at the ducts. So look at the ducts, we look at the fallopian tube. This is a fallopian tube. Now, the fallopian tube, there are two of them, one on each side, and they attach on the right and left sides of the uterus. So this is the uterus, and we have a tube that is attaching to the uterus, in addition to the ligament that attaches the ovary to the uterus. We have the fallopian tube. They are about 4 inches long, and they have the size of a cooked spaghetti noodle. What happens is that the fallopian tube will carry the egg cells from the ovary. It carries it from the ovary and transport it towards the uterus. So it carries covers there is a part that covers the ovary, and when the ovary releases the egg cell, it will be released into, it will catch it, and it will transport it all the way into the uterus. Okay, so the oviduct will carry egg cells of the uterus, and if usually fertilization occurs within the uterus. Fertilization occurs within the uterus, so then it will transport the sperm cell towards the egg. So you can see that it transports the sperm cell towards the egg. Okay, so fertilization occurs in the upper third the upper third of the oviduct, and when fertilization has occurred, then the zygote should be. Well, there are parts of the fallopian tube,
Hello,
but we
sir.
didn't want to really worry you. We have the fimbriae, we have the ampulla, we have
Hello,
the
sir.
isthmus, but so you can read it for like you read it, if you can do extensive reading on that.
Hello, sir.
Then we have the uterus. So uterus is a hollow muscular organ, and it's shaped like somewhat like an upside down pear. Yes.
Did I hear
Yes.
you say the fallopian tube carries sperms? Because I know it carries the eggs to the uterus so that it can fertilize over there. So how come the fallopian tube can carry sperms?
Okay.
Because
So
from the picture that we see, you can see the opening of the cervix or the vulva, and then the vagina is within. So when there is ejaculation, I believe the sperms are now swimming. The strongest will now meet the egg if it has been released. So how come the fallopian tube will now come and carry the sperms?
okay. So many times the sperm meets the egg within the fallopian tube.
Yes, for that
It
one we
meets
know.
it exactly. So that's why I'm saying that because the sperm passes through the fallopian tube, we can inadvertently say that it
It more or
conducts
less serve as a canal.
sperms.
Oh,
It helps in as a
okay.
canal for the transport of sperms. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So okay, the uterus, which is a hollow muscular organ, is shaped like an upside down pear. It's like the size of your fist. So you can make a fist, and you see the size of your uterus. Okay, the females can do that. Now the uterus has a lining, which the epithelial lining, which is called the endometrium. It's called the endometrium. And the major function of the uterus is to protect and nourish the fetus. So the fetus develops in it, then it's going to nourish and protect it. Now, the walls of the uterus have the ability to stretch the size of a watermelon, the small watermelon. And after childbirth, the uterus also shrinks back to the original shape in about 6 to at most 2 months. We are expecting that the uterus will revert to the original size. But one thing is that sometimes it can take up to 9 months for the uterus to fully recover. So it's not just about reducing, but the entire architecture coming and being restored to normalcy. Okay, so it can take up to about 9 months.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Um, with what you just said, um, the uterus will take it to be completely returned to its normal side in at least 9 months, at most 9 months. Is that
Yeah.
what you just said? Yes, good. So
Yeah.
I want to find out then what happens to women that in 6 months time you will see them pregnant again after delivery. Because I've seen somebody who just gave birth within 5 to 6 months and she was pregnant again. So the kids look like more or less like twins.
Mm. Okay. So all these values that sometimes we quote, they are average, and we are not saying that that is the absolute. But I said that up to it can take up to 9 months. Yeah. So you can still have 6 months, and the uterus will be there can be it can take another pregnancy. Okay, it can take another
Thank you.
pregnancy. So they are not absolute.
All right. Say, what causes fallopian blockage?
Okay, so well, I wouldn't. I will not know the exact, but for example, the fallopian tube is made up of the walls are made up of some muscles. We have situations where the muscles may hypertrophy, and it can bring about blockade of it. It can be several causes. Sometimes secretions maybe secretions which, when it becomes abnormal, can solidify and can still block. Okay, so I don't have a definite answer for that, but these are some of the these are some guesses which I think could happen. Some of the things that could happen to bring about the blockade. Mhm. Okay, so can we let's I want us to finish. The uterus is made up of the walls is made up of three layers. So the innermost layer we call it the endometrium, and the middle layer is the myometrium, which is made up of muscles. Then the outer layer is what we call the perimetrium. Perimetrium. I'm sure I have it in the slide down there. That there. Now the one thing about the female is that the endometrium usually undergoes cyclical changes. It's being built up, then it is torn down. Okay, and all these are supposed to prepare the uterus, the endometrium for taking seed, that is fertilization, implantation. So the endometrium of the uterus undergoes cyclical changes. So there are situations where it will build up, then it will break down. Okay. And the breakdown of the endometrium usually results in blood flow, which we call the menstruation. Now, this cycle of build up and breakdown is what we call the uterine cycle, and it spans about 4 weeks in females, averagely 4 weeks in females. And one thing is that as the uterine cycle is occurring, it is parallel with the changes in the ovary. So it is parallel. It parallels changes in the ovary. So on the slide you see um and uterine cycle up there, and down there you can see the ovary, which is also down there. Okay, now uterine cycle ceases at menopause. It ceases at menopause. So we just go through for the to the education of some of our men. You also have to go through the uterine cycle. Okay, so there are three phases of the uterine cycle. We have what you call the menstrual phase, which is usually labeled as day one. Then we have the proliferative phase. Then we have the secretory phase. So from day one up to about 4 of the 5th day, the so let's go through. The menstrual phase is which is characterized by blood flow, and it would span averagely like 3 to 5 days. 3 to 5 days. So about 3 to 5 days, it's expected that for most people by the 5th day, it's expected that the blood will cease flow. Okay. Then we have from day 5 to day 15. That's about 5 days to after menstruation. The the endometrium starts growing. It starts growing in thickness. So we consider that phase as a proliferative phase. Okay. So usually this phase is stimulated by the progesterone and estrogen, which is secreted by the follicular cells. So the follicular cells, during that time, they will also this if you look at the top picture here, the ovary, the ovarian cells will start developing. So we have the cells of the follicular cells also developing. So they will be secreting estrogen and progesterone, and that would also stimulate the growth of the endometrium. Then we have the secretory phase, which is about almost like 2 weeks. The secretory phase lasts about 2 weeks. That's the longest phase. Now, this is when the endometrium thickens to its maximum. Okay, And here at this point, there are more blood vessels that would grow within the endometrium. It supplies so much blood. Much blood is reaches the endometrium because it is ready for implantation. So it is also rich in glycogen. Okay, there are some glands in the endometrium, and they become fully developed during the secretory phase. They start developing the proliferative phase, but in the secretive phase, they become fully developed, and they would secrete the glycogen. Now, during that time, within the within after the proliferative phase, that's about 14 days. 14 days after menstruation, there is ovulation, concurrent ovulation. So the egg will be released from the ovary, and during that time, the the Graafian follicle will metamorphose to corpus luteum, and the corpus luteum will be producing estrogen and progesterone, and this will stimulate the endometrium to be able to take in more and to be able to thicken and be ready for implantation. Now, in the absence of fertilization, that's after the 14 days. So within the 15 days to 28, in the absence of fertilization, the estrogen and progesterone levels, they will drop. They drop. And since they are the ones that is sustaining the endometrial thickness, what will happen is that the blood supply, the blood which is supplying the rest of the endometrium is cut off, and that will bring about blood loss and also the breakdown of the endometrium. So in the absence of fertilization, the estrogen and progesterone levels drop and the endometrium lining breaks down. And that will bring about the menstruation. So this is how the cycle goes on and off, goes on and on. Okay. Then we'll look briefly at the cervix. So the cervix is the neck or the opening of the uterus, and it dips down about half an inch into the vagina. Okay. Usually the cervix is plugged by mucus, and there is a mucus plug which tightly closes it during pregnancy. But usually prior to the childbirth delivery, the mucus is going to, it's like what you call a mammalian, or the phlegm. The phlegm is going to thin out so that the baby will be able to come out. Okay. Usually the secretions from the cervix would lubricate the walls of the vagina. The cervix produce secretions that will lubricate the wall of the vagina. Then we have the vagina, which is the female organ for intercourse. It is a muscular tube that extends from the opening all the way to the uterus. Usually it's about 3 to 4 inches long, but it can lengthen during arousal. And one thing is that the vaginal wall is made up of muscles that can stretch to accommodate a baby during birth. Then we look at the external genitalia, which is the vulva. So the vulva is a collective term for the external genitalia. The entire vulva, and it is located within the pubic region. Now, the external genitalia has an outer region, which is usually hair. There are hairs who grow on it, and it is a fatty region, and it's bulky. We call it the labia majora. Then deep to the labia majora is also a fold of mucosa, but it doesn't have hair. It doesn't have hair. We call it the labia minora. Okay, the two labia minora, superiorly or anteriorly, it would terminate on the erectile tissue, which is very, very sensitive, the clitoris. So you see that clitoris lies superior, and that's it lies above with the anus, and the anus lies below, but the labia minora will terminate on the clitoris. Now, in between the labia minora, you have the opening of the urethra that is closer to the clitoris. Then you also have the opening of the vagina. Okay, so this is how the female vulva is. Then finally, we look at the urethra. So the urethra is, there is an opening of the urethra. It's within between the labia minora. Actually, we call it a vestibule. We call it a vestibule. So you can, when you are reading, you come across vestibule, it refers to the same place. So we have between the labia minora, we have the opening to the urinary bladder. Female urethra is very, very short. Then we have the clitoris. Clitoris is the small P-shaped bump at the front of the labia minora, and it contains erectile tissue. And the clitoris increases sexual pleasures. Things that we say with time will allow us to talk about the female reproductive system. Maybe we'll open for questions. Hey, am I offline?
No, sir, you are online.
Oh. No, yeah. This time you are not worried.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir. Say it's offline. I have a question for him, but he's offline. He will come online right now.
Any question?
Yes, sir. Please, can I go on? Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, so with the with the vagina, I know. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
with the vagina, we've read in some books. Okay, we've read in some books with respect to the vagina that it has its own pH level. Yes. So,
yes.
What is the ideal pH level? And then how can you see your pH has been increased or decreased?
Okay, can we get some of the females responding?
Opoku Juliet.
Hello, Ima. I don't
Yes.
know. No idea.
Okay, so it's supposed to be acidic. It's supposed to be acidic. Okay.
Yes. So it has a range of 0 up to 6.9.
Hey, 0 is too acidic.
No, so that's the acidic range on the pH scale. So I want to find out on the pH scale at what pH that you can say that very good a lady vaginal region is in its optimum acidic level. That is
So
not
it's about
it has not crossed the threshold, no, below the threshold. That's what I want to find out.
So from 3.8 to 4.5.
3.8 to 4.5.
3.4.5. Yeah. And the acidic nature is usually, if it is not acidic, one of the key things is the candida.
Very good.
Candida would usually grow there. They will develop candidiasis.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Because I have girls. I have
So
girls in my
so
class. That's what I'm asking.
no, so if having that they insert those things, I know they cause certain things, vagina sweetener or whatever, and other things. Does it have any effect? Sometimes they use some wash, something wash. I've forgotten the name. Does it have things that place is acidic?
No, it's the acidic nature is as a result of some microbes which are present. These microbes are not, they don't cause diseases. Okay, so like for example, lactobacillus. There are some microbes which are present in the vagina. They ferment glycogen and it will produce some form of acid, which is there. So it's not like they have to do anything in order to become for the place to be acidic. That's a normal condition there.
It's
Now
like
the
it's
things,
but some people introduce certain things. Some people
yeah,
introduce certain um uh I've forgotten the name, but it is in the form of soap. So those soapy substances that are introduced, what will be the effects if they are introduced into the place?
It will
usually
definitely
those
it will
it will
definitely increase the pH level.
mm,
It will definitely increase the pH level there, and that is going to be
a
disadvantage to the
problem.
female.
Exactly.
It's going to be a problem. Yes. So, my follow-up question: is it good for females to wash their vaginal region with alum, salt water, lime, in the name of tightening the place?
Yeah, Jima.
But I think water is enough.
Biology
What
master.
water is enough, but
Biology master.
no, water is enough. But with our traditional setting, how sometimes they want to like sometimes you just don't know how to explain. You don't even know where they get all those notions from. Yeah.
Is the influences
But
of men.
yeah, and they would usually discourage the use
So
of soap. Usually, ladies are discouraged from using soap to wash their vagina. So
They should resort to
sometimes
PC
you
exercise.
don't know. It's like what exercise?
PC exercise.
Please explain the PC.
Well, somebody told me it is the male organ contraction exercise.
Okay. Mm.
Hello, dog.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
a button,
So,
sir.
Hello, dog.
yes.
Please, doc, I have a question.
Yes, please. Okay.
I want to know where exactly female urinates through. Is it through the vagina or they have another opening?
Oh, okay. So this is where I was explaining that uh, um, you know, we have the labia minora. You see, we have labia. I was telling you about the two folds. When you look at the vulva, the outermost part is broad and it is thicker and it has hair. Then we have the part which is more reddened. There's no, so in between
The
is
labia
the
minora.
vestibule. So we have the urethra. The urethra is within the opening of the urethra.
Okay.
It's within the vestibule. It lies when the lady is lying down on the back. The urethra is above, then the vagina is
So it is true. They have three holes.
in between the labia minora. In between the labia minora If a lady is positioned, a female position, it lies at the back. The urethra is above, and the vagina is below. And this is also as a form of education to our men. You see, our females, the female, the human female. If you look at the vagina, this particular diagram, the vagina, at the front of the vagina is the urethra. So you see the urethra. Then at the back of the urethra is the rectum. Sometimes, for unsafe abortions, we have situations where during unsafe abortions, the walls of the vagina can be perforated, and when it is cut through, it can also lead to the rectum. And therefore, we have situations in extreme cases where they'll tell you that a lady is having feces passing through the vagina. Yeah, that is a very, very extreme case, and it is very, very a serious condition. And this is coming as a result of a perforation in the wall of the vagina, and it leads also to a perforation in the rectum where feces pass. So then if such a condition is more of a fistula. We call it a fistula. So these are some of the complications that are meant to go through. Okay. I don't know whether there are additional
please, I
questions.
have
Okay. So this, we just hope that these 8 topics that we've treated for these 4 weekends, they have been helpful, and they've also contributed to your understanding of the mammalian.
Yeah, please, Doc, I want to ask this question, please. Concerning the acid
please, I'm listening.
in this, concerning the acid in this birth canal, what's the exact name?
Okay. Okay. Oh, it's more of a lactic acid. It's a lactic acid. I can confirm because I know lactobacillus. Yeah, it's lactic acid.
Okay.
Lactic acid. Yeah.
Okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Doc.
Hello, Doc. Hello.
Yes.
Please, what is the normal duration?
Yeah, I'm listening.
What is the normal duration for sexual intercourse? Yes, because the ladies are killing the men for them taking aphrodisia and a whole lot. So if you can help us.
I was saying that sometimes aphrodisia is that should be your last resort. So far as you are able to erect, then you have to pay attention to your stimulation.
5 to 10 minutes is okay.
Oh, some people can cross 10 minutes. Some males can cross and easily cross 10 minutes.
I ask my question. That is where I ask the question that when you prolong your sex drive during one intercourse, let's say 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, are you not stretching your muscles too much? And he said no, it has no effect. So you have now empowered the women that they should ask for more long period. So if you go, let's say 50, say
no, the usually depending on the position, even sometimes the ladies become tired. So if you are extending it to okay, the ladies can speak for themselves.
Doc, it's true.
What is true?
Which one is true?
The tiredness.
He has said a lot of
things.
Yes.
The tiredness, as Doc has said.
Tiredness. So okay.
Hello?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yes, I have a question. Now, most of us are mothers or we are parents, and we are learning about the female reproductive organ. Sometimes our young girls at an early stage, as early as maybe 8 years and above, they go to school and you realize that they are infected with this toilet. So if they are not treated, what effect is it going to have on them? Because you send them to the hospital, they will give you some drugs for the children, but you realize that still those things persist. So what does it have any effect on their reproductive?
Canada
Yes.
can even give blindness. So
Yeah. You see, one thing about the female reproductive system is that as when the vagina, the vulva, becomes infected for a long time, it has a tendency of spreading upwards. So it can also spread upwards to the uterus and also the fallopian tube, and even goes to the egg, the ovary. So that is extreme cases if it's supposed to persist. Okay. So, but one of the things that when it comes to infection, recurrent infection, is the fact that sometimes looking at the use, considering the use of these, the drugs abuse, the abuse of drugs, some of these microbes have become like resistant to these drugs. They have become resistant to these drugs. Um, so it looks like the drugs may not be working as we anticipate. I think as a parent, looking at the long-term effects, maybe you may want, sometimes if you can, if you may have to check, they have to check, it's more like hygiene, it's more like hygiene. So you have to check what they are using. So from chamber pot to the kind of materials that they use, so that you can actually maintain hygiene. There are a number of things that we can apply that can make the place, like at least where our children are, more hygienic. So bleach, when you clean the place with bleach, not the vagina, but their surroundings. Yeah, we have iodine solution where you can clean the surroundings. Yeah, so it's something that is very, very worrisome. It's very worrisome. But the children, one thing about children is that because they are growing, their body has they are able to replace their cells very, very fast. Maybe that is the way that the body will try to get. But as a parent, when we see the recurrent, it's better to pay attention to the school and at least understand the environment and check out for insanitary conditions so that you can suggest changes.
hello, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, to add to what you just said, at times
Mm,
too, our girls, they love sweets, and these sweets help it help the candidate to germinate
to
more,
also grow.
or for want of better
Okay.
words, to multiply fast. So, in as much as
Mm,
we are looking at the hygiene condition within the school toiletries, we also have to watch what they eat and how we control it. Again, as mothers, we should make sure that our girls wash their undies and dry them very, very well.
mm,
You see, most of the girls tend to wear damped undies, and all this goes a long way to help grow the
mm,
microbes that causes
mm,
this kind of candida.
mm,
So we have to
mm.
look at all these things. Again,
Okay.
my mom said that if it were advisable, every woman should separate these undies from the normal clothing.
Mm,
You see, so if you can get a small bag that you pack all your undies and stuff in it, so that it doesn't mix with your main clothes, it helps
mm,
to prevent more of this kind of candida and stuff like that. Thank you very much.
mm.
I have two
Thank
questions
you.
for you.
Okay.
The first question is, you just said, or suggested you.
Oh,
Thank you.
ọkọ ya in the manhood scope exams.
Oh, okay. So the scope. Yeah, the scope you can just like I said the last time. So you can engage in the discussion at least so that propose some topics. I think you can divide them. You can divide them into various portions. Okay, you can divide them into various, maybe three, so that one can be quiz one, the other will be quiz two, then the last can be exam. But whatever be the case, we will also hold our discussion. But I'm awaiting your suggestion so that I can also table it before the rest of the other tutors. Then we will have a discussion on something.
So say with the examination, with the end of standard on 20th to 28th,
Is it 20th to 28th of?
So we have 20th, 21st, 27th, 28th.
Of September?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay.
So with the exams, with the main exams, that is from 20th, 21st, 22nd, 27th, 28th, I will go for the reproductive organs, that is both male and female. And then we look at circulatory that we did yesterday, the urinary tract, and then maybe, so I'll prefer these two for exams.
Why not use only the reproductive system for the exams alone?
Hey.
It's too small.
It's too small.
Okay, so Nana, Mr. Ajuman.
Yes, sir.
You know, I will better remember it when you type it and send me. So please have a meeting, agree on it, and give me your proposition. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So say you bye-bye. You go and rest there.
Yeah,
we have a
meeting so that we can discuss.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Hello.
Hi.
Now, so listen, this is the recorded version. So let me create a link, then we all join.
Are they still recording?
Yes, they are still recording.
That is not the best one.
So let me create a link. We all join, then we have our discussion right away.
Okay.
Right now.
Oh, right now. Let's fix a time.
On the main platform.
No, on the biology platform. You cannot do on the main platform.
So do that.
So we are waiting. The time for it, please.
Right now.
Oh, right now. Some of us are right now.
Mama, let's use the last 20 minutes and finish it up, and then we go. Then coming back for this kind of simple exercise. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye bye.